biggest expectation is it's going to be something technical. But actually, my talk is not very technical. It is related, and I hope by the end of next 20 minutes, I would be in a position to send my message across. Today I'm here to talk about the importance of education and diversity in protocol development. Since this is my first time in Osaka in person, I thought it would be a good idea to introduce myself. So my first slide is about me. I joined the Web3 space in 2016. This is my next phase of working. Before 2016, or in my previous life, I was working for Accenture, Web2 World, and then took a break. After that, I joined the ecosystem. Ethereum was introduced to me by my husband. One day he decided that he would buy 3 GPUs of Craigslist and DIY our first mining rig. It was an experiment to have fun with family, but I kind of liked the idea and I started learning more about it. What is Ethereum? People may ask that why I did not learn Bitcoin before. Yes, because I was busy raising kids and I didn't know about Bitcoin before. I learned about Ethereum first and then I got involved with the blockchain space. I love the concept, I love the idea, and I decided to follow more talks, learn more about Ethereum, what it is. It was very new at the time. So I watched tons of Vitaliks and Black Lampage and so many other developers' videos online which were available and started writing them in simple and easy to understand language with my first website called EtherWorld. EtherWorld was a platform to share my knowledge, my experience that I was getting from learning from the Web3 space, but I wanted to share this with people so they can learn and be able to participate. It was going well, but not on very high pace. I was just taking out time from my daily routine, from my kids' activities, and just writing whenever I get time about it. A couple of years passed, Ethereum was evolving, and they suddenly started looking for people who can come and volunteer to support the project management into Ethereum blockchain. With my background from Accenture, I decided to join Ethereum cat herders as a project manager and started helping out Ethereum protocol development. It was an eye-opener because I learned that just coding is not the thing that people can contribute to. There are many other ways that anyone can contribute to the Ethereum ecosystem. Supporting protocol development is one of those. Ethereum cat herders help me understand and open many venues where I can involve more newcomers. First, I decided to contribute with some kind of project that can help onboard more people. Wallet. Wallet was the basic thing that everybody was looking at. They want to do a very simple transaction. So we looked into block action wallet, but because of many regulatory compliances, I decided not to pursue that. But since I was involved with protocol upgrade, it was a very good opportunity for me to work very close to protocol developers, the client developers team. It was the era of 2020 when developers were working to launch Beacon Chain, the proof of stake system, and they were doing all kind of testing because Beacon Chain would involve a lot of money, of course, and they were trying to migrate from POW to POS. In parallel, of course, not migration. In parallel, they wanted to launch that, and they were trying to do new kind of testnets. Then I launched this another website which was to support the Beacon Chain testnets. It ran for a few more months when mainnet version was launched in 2020, but we could not continue it further in absence of enough funding as well as enough time. As I mentioned, I was busy raising kids at the same time as well. Being a woman, that's also an important job, and I was trying to do both the things together. I'm very happy and proud of my kids, on my family, that they supported me everywhere I go, whatever I do. My daughter is here. She always supports me and she comes around to all the conferences that I go. So you may have seen her sometimes. Well, as I was moving ahead, I also tried to support with marketing of Ethereum with a group which was evolving at the time called Marketing DAO. It worked for a few months, but it did not go further. Time passed. As we all know, Ethereum's building block is EIP. EIP is something that every developers are very much focused about. They want to write EIPs, they want to document it and may be able to deploy it on Ethereum mainnet one day. That's the goal of every developer here, to add their contribution. But how can they do that? Are they good at it? Like whatever they are writing makes sense in technical terms, but it may or may not make sense to normal people. They may not understand what this is. And there are other guidelines that was required at the time in order to make sure that we invite and accept right kind of proposals for any network upgrade. I started learning more about EIPs and got involved with many activities of EIPs. I started a podcast of EIPs, then got involved with EIP IP meeting. That means we are working towards improving the process and also documenting these proposals, how many proposals are going through in a month or kind of thing, in a HackMD file. Eventually, I realized that keeping this information limited to HackMD may prohibit many more users to learn about it. Thus, I launched EIPS Insight. Along my way, I've met two wonderful women. Ladana Higgins, she is right over here, and Shaige Wong, who is currently the co-exec of Ethereum Foundation. We realized that there are very few women in this space who are actually involved on the protocol development side of Ethereum. We do have a lot of developers, but they are working towards application side of it. We were talking about how we can onboard more women, how we can actually educate them to be a part of protocol development. And we launched WIEP in 2024. I'm going to talk more about WIEP in my future slides. I mentioned about starting Ethereum with Ethereum cat holders. When I started back in 2019, it was just a working group. Eventually, after a few years, I was successfully able to register this working group as a non-profit entity in the United States, and now that is called as ECH Institute Incorporation. Another sidetrack. This is about a movie, The Notebook. You will get to know in a few minutes like why I'm talking about it. This movie is set on a very simple background where there is this poor boy and rich girl. They fell in love and they have their life. This girl, whenever she comes to meet this boy, she is driving a car. She's driving a car and sometimes she goes mad and she does not drive well. She hits the fence. She is going haywire on the road and about to get hit by a truck. I have watched this movie multiple times, so I know she's not going to die. But every time that scene comes up, my heart skips a beat because I feel like, what will happen if the car gets crashed? As some of you may know, that even if car gets crashed, now we have a safety feature. The safety feature is airbag. Airbag was introduced in 1970s as a major safety innovation. It was adopted by General Motors for the first US fleet cars in 1973, and in 1981, Mercedes-Benz launched it for the driver's side of the car, where it was like flagship feature for S-Class cars of Mercedes. This was a very good innovation, but there was a blind spot. Airbag worked perfectly well in testing. Why? Because they have tested well on the model which was a size of average male driver. The size was like 170 lb of weight and 5'9" of height. So engineers who were designing this airbag, they considered themselves and they designed the model accordingly. There was nothing wrong, they weren't malicious, but they excluded a majority of female driver or maybe young drivers. As I mentioned, I have kids. My older one is driving car now, and I feel safe when I know all these safety features are around. But just imagine mothers who could have sent out their kids on car and they don't know if the car would have those airbags. So this testing basically excluded many of these. However, the statistics suggested that if there is a crash, if there is an injury, that is mostly for participants which does not match the height of the tummy that was used for testing purposes. So, on recommendation of some female engineer, medical resources, and many women who studied these statistics closely, this was then redesigned. Airbags were now considering different demographics of driver. Airbags become safer and it could save millions of lives, and in 1997, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration of the United States also implemented this as inclusive crash test standards. So, one size fits all may not be a perfect example. It may fail when it comes to technology. Technology are considered for general purpose sometimes. They are designed for default users and we consider that as an optimized solution. This may or may not work. So, if the protocol is for everyone, protocol must be built by everyone. How can we do that? We can do that by educating our community member and including everyone, every participant, every user. We can create awareness, we can enable these participants to be able to contribute to the ecosystem because this will help us drive innovation. We all know education matters. It gives the fundamentals to people who want to make a contribution. It would help us scale the network, the human network as well. It is basically a public good and that should be made available free for people. This would definitely help us enable more diversity and inclusion. So education is not just an outreach. It is protocol infrastructure. We must build it better. It does matter because diverse contributors brings diverse perspective. If we have these experiences collected together, we may be able to spot issues early on. Education empowers to participate and help in design and governance. We want to have diversity because diversity makes the system more stronger, safer, and inclusive. Ethereum isn't just code, it's a knowledge shared openly as public good. It is a very good quality of Ethereum that it is open source. I know there are many projects, but I'm so proud to be a part of the Ethereum ecosystem because I think that whatever people can do by making a contribution to open source is not just about sending something out, but also learning many things in. So it's really, really good thing to have. In my About Me slides, I mentioned about Women in Ethereum Protocol. So Women in Ethereum Protocol was launched in 2024. I, Ladana and Shaive met with Aya Miyaguchi, who was the executive director at the time, and shared this idea that we want to have this working group, we want to have more women participating in protocol development. She immediately agreed to the idea and she was open with all her. She said that whatever support Ethereum Foundation can provide, we are happy to help you out. The launch of Ethereum protocol is now supported by Ethereum Foundation and at the time it was ECAT, but now ECH Institute. Why we needed WIP in the first place? Because we wanted to raise awareness about protocol level opportunities. As I mentioned, that there are developers, but they are application developers. They are more focused on cryptocurrency side of this technology, but we wanted to have people who can help get the blockchain side of this technology. We wanted to provide structured learning, so we should be in a position to enable them. We should be in a position to get them global connection and support that is required in order to come forward, and also it reflects Ethereum's inclusive value. WIEP basically creates a welcoming entry point for all women and non-binary developers into a highly technical and male-dominated society. The image that you can see here is taken a couple of days ago. I'm very happy to learn that our leadership are always eager to help and support all these initiatives around women. This is from a side event of East Tokyo, where we had a very friendly conversation with Shirley Wong, who is presently the co-exec director of Ethereum Foundation. She took out her time to talk to the community, to talk to different women and also men, because it's not only the responsibility of women to uplift other women, but it is also of men equally. I also did a SWOT around it, tried to follow what are our strengths and what are the opportunities. Definitely we have tremendous opportunities. We have potential for university partnership, rising demands for diversity and inclusion, and we can expand this mentorship for internship pipelines to have more aspiring developers available. WIP isn't just about inclusion. It's about making protocol development more resilient. A little bit about ECH Institute. ECH Institute currently helps with the facilitating Ethereum protocol meeting, makes notes available, and any support that developers team may require. We help out with EIP staff. We do podcast PEEP and EIP, where we talk about all these EIPs which are getting selected for Ethereum network upgrade and also for application layer. And we also have ecosystem project demo, where we talk about different projects and provide them a stage to talk about their project and provide demo to the ecosystem. We believe that education plus inclusion together will have a stronger governance and community support. So Ethereum governance isn't just about developer, it's about everyone's participation. Let's join hands for building Ethereum's future together. Ethereum's next decade will be defined not only by rollups and sharding, but also who we bring with us. It could be your family, it could be your friend, it could be a girl next door. Well, my last slide is highly inspired by the announcement made by Ethereum Foundation just yesterday. Decentralized artificial intelligence team of Ethereum Foundation. I would love to see this in future have a decentralized diversity and inclusion team be a part of Ethereum Foundation. Thank you everyone for coming out here today.